October 23, 1983, Beirut, Lebanon. A moment of crisis.
And I remember that wave of fire. It started at the lower right portion of the grill, like at the bumper, on the right-hand side of that vehicle passenger side. And it was just like a great big wave of flame that spread.
Robert Calhoun was on top of the building.
And all of a sudden, the building started falling apart. Pieces of the concrete started going in different directions. I remember falling through the air and feeling the different decks or floors collapse underneath me. I felt the roof come down and hit the third floor, and the third floor hit the second floor, and the second floor hit the first floor, and each time it hit the different floors, it was breaking off and falling.
Robert Jordan was then one of the top Marine officers in Beirut.
People from miles around stared in awe as they saw the roof of that building, 3 foot thick of reinforced concrete, rise in the air and flutter like a butterfly and die. It was unbelievable that such a large structure could just disappear. I had never seen anything in all of my experience, either in Vietnam or Beirut, that could cause such an enormous amount of damage in one blow. My first view of a living Marine was a black Marine in red running shorts covered with gray dust, and the moment was almost overwhelming when you thought that there was almost 400 people in that building, and here's this one lone Marine.
Michael Pettit was one of the first Marines on the scene.
When I looked around, I didn't see anyone, and then I realized that there were arms maybe jutting from the rocks and legs, and I saw a Marine lying face down, and he was half in and half out of the, I think it was the crater of the bomb itself. And so I just started digging to try to get him out, and a couple other Marines that had come down joined me, and we were helping him, and we had a hard time pulling him from that crater. And we finally managed to pull him out, and we turned him over, and we realized he was dead. I saw a lot of personal effects. I remember one letter so clearly. It was just a fragment, and it had blood spots on it. And it was from a woman who said, "I'm so worried about you, but now I feel better knowing that you're in that building that you told me about because I know it's safe. I would just die if anything happened to you."
At exactly the same time, another suicide bomber attacked a French compound in Beirut. 58 French soldiers died there, victims of the same Muslim fanatics as the Marines. At both sites, rescuers worked through the maze of concrete and rubble. At the end, only a few men were saved. Sergeant Kim McKinney was one of the few Marines who endured the long ordeal of pulling out his dead and wounded buddies.
I removed 57, or helped remove 57 bodies. Why I kept count, I have no idea. The first one was alive, of course, the first Marine I came to, and then it was just removing the dead. And distinctively, the majority of those 56 dead Marines, I could still see their faces. 7 days of just slow torture, cutting out the concrete, cutting the steel, picking it up, and removing the dead. 7 days. It was just a never-ending nightmare. I think it was just knowing that if I was there, I would want somebody to work as hard to get me home, because I would not want to be left there. And if that's what it was that pushed us, I really don't know. Sometimes I think back, why the hours, why the days? I don't know. It was just, we had to do it.
The response was immediate.
The United States will not be intimidated by terrorists. Every effort will be made so this despicable act will not go unpunished.
But the act did go unpunished. A 2020 investigation found that the Reagan administration did little to seek retribution against the planners of the attack. Iran, Syria, and Lebanese radicals had wanted the United States out of Beirut. It worked. 4 months later, the Marines left Lebanon. They had come as peacekeepers. They left as victims. Military historian Eric Hamill has studied the background of the attack on the Marines.
What we should know from Beirut is that all of the hijackings, all of the bombings, all the trouble for Americans in the Middle East, perhaps in the world, is caused at root by the guys who threw the U.S. Marines out of Lebanon.
Could the attack against the Marines have been prevented? Should it have been predicted? 2020 has investigated what really happened and what went wrong.
In looking for answers, Tom Jarrell has talked to dozens of people who've kept silent until now. The attack on the Marines, it didn't have to happen. That's next.